Njani?
Ngiyaphila na. We are on air, ngiyakubona. All right,
Okay,
no
yeah,
problem.
Phil.
You're right, wena.
I'm good as well. I am recording the meeting, so be mindful of that.
All right, I not a
Okay.
problem.
Welcome to Community Catalyst, the podcast that explores the impact of traditional authorities on informal trade and land access. I'm your host, uThubelihle Mlambo, and in today's episode, we have a special guest who will shed light on the challenges faced by informal traders and the role of traditional authorities in addressing these issues in Mbazwana. Joining us today is Wandile Ntuli, a qualified urban and regional planner with years of experience and a deeper understanding of the local dynamics. Wandile plays a vital role in the context of our research because he is from Mbazwana, the case study we are looking at. Through this conversation, I aim to develop a deeper understanding of the experience of Wandile as a community member and his strategic analysis from a planner's perspective. Hence the title of today's episode, From Hometown to Planner's Perspective. Wandile Ntuli graduated from the University of KwaZulu-Natal with a Bachelor of Social Science and Housing. He then furthered his studies at the same institution with a Master's in Town and Regional Planning, and he has been practicing ever since. This episode offers a unique opportunity to learn directly from ilunga lomphakathi waseMbazwana and understand his thoughts and recommendations for the future of informal traders and planners who are working in uMhlaba municipality. So without further ado, let's welcome Wandile Ntuli and explore the world of informal trade in Mbazwana and its interactions with traditional authority. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello today. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'd just like to greet you and viewers, yes.
And we're just gonna have a conversation.
Yeah, no, let's just get straight into the fact of the matter, yeah.
Yeah.
So as Wandile Ntuli, I grew up in Mbazwane, Mhlaba. Yeah, being a small rural town,
Yes.
with so much informality, Yeah, so ngaba nenhlanhla I was fortunate to go to school and to study planning, to try and understand what exactly is going on in this small rural town.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, mangithi ngiyayibheka from a planning perspective.
Yes.
Siqale lapho nje. See, to try and draw this relationship between traditional authorities and local government, ukubambisana between the two. Uyabona? Yeah, so into eyenzeka lana ukuthi masithi siyabheka just to Spluma, we can start what we pick up on Spluma, or we can actually go back to the early 2000s,
Yes.
whereby it was local government in transition, Scala City, we're coming with concepts of local government, Ubenama acts to try and govern. We about spatial development.
Yes.
Yes. So now siyathola ukuthi Mbazwana has mushroomed actually from ukuqala kwayo. It was just a rural settlement, but
Yes.
now inama characteristics yokuthi ifuna ukukhula, it needs a place of trade,
Yes. You're
Yes,
right
yes,
in
yes.
that aspect, yes.
So siyahlangana, we come together now for a lot of reasons. Kule center to this note, of activity. So much is going on,
In one space. A lot is happening in one
In one
space. Yes.
Yes. wonke umuntu uzenzela into yakhe emgwaqeni, omunye uyabo uzusabe ukuthi hayibo yazi abantu bazoshayiswa imoto, you know.
Exactly, yes. Even the road is very narrow. So nje, it's a very tricky position. You have your cars, you have pedestrians, you have informal traders, but at the same time, you have people moving into the supermarkets. Some people are going to the garage, which is right next to everything else. It's everything all in one space.
Then indaba-ke iyaqala-ke lana kule mushrooming of informality, whereby there's just a lack of land use management.
Zero. Yes.
Zero. There are no stringent controls. So uSiphuma, when Siphuma comes into play now, we can see uSiphuma is coming with development principles, and it's coming to try and create this partnership between local authorities, which being abaholi bendabuko, about traditional councils.
Yes.
Yes, so they have to join hands with local government in this case, to try and actually plan indawo, So sinemakhaya-ke asibanga nenhlanhla ye-spatial planning, as efficient,
Yes, you're very right.
So ekukhuleni endaweni yenjalo, okusho ukuthi-ke manje sokumele kube nokubambisana between the traditional authorities and the local government to try and bring about order, because planning is about order. We have what is there and what is not supposed to be there. So ekufikeni-ke kwesiphuma siqhamuka with land use schemes, like land use schemes, wall-to-wall land use schemes, whereby we are saying now we want to introduce planning throughout the whole municipality. Places which have never enjoyed the benefits of planning must enjoy the benefits of planning, like in Mjondolo, like in Semakhaya. They've been isolated for the longest time, emanating from the apartheid era, the inequalities which we inherited,
I hear you talking about Spluma and how the area has adapted to change, obviously, in the past years as well. But just like bringing it back to the topic as well, because you did mention the collaboration between the local municipality and the local authorities, which are, of course, or the traditional council. I personally feel like traditional authorities are not that well informed, especially in rural areas. So understanding what their role is land distribution, and then understanding what as planners who are working in the local municipality, our role is the allocation of different spaces and making sure that the area is well planned. What do you think are the main challenges for us as planners to bridge that gap then, where you have situations where land is being given or being distributed anyhow because they're not aware of how things are supposed to be, or the policies say that this is what is supposed to be done?
Yeah, no, I think you've raised a very critical question there. And being critical, we need to answer that question. Do we really trust traditional authorities to govern spatial planning and the allocation of land? Because sike sifike endaweni enzima after even practicing, sike sifike uthole ukuthi uyabona ukuthi mhlawumbe ubukhosi bu-allocate umuntu along a floodplain or close by to umfula, uyabona.
Yes.
Umuntu unomfula odlula emzini wakhe, for example.
Odlula eceleni komuzi.
Ubuza ukuthi kwenzeka kanjani-ke lokho ukuthi khona there's even habitation yomuntu so close to a floodplain, because kumele ngabe leyo ndawo siyayihlonipha, kumele abasondele. Uthi uyafika kwezinye indawo, people have even built imizi along major routes like imigwaqo emikhulu, uyabona. So ubone ukuthi okay, ubukhosi bube nawo ama-challenges bokugovernisha, because now there are no written rules of how to plan an area,
So what do you think would then be, as a planner, what would you say would be your attempt to try and fix those issues?
Okay. I think over the years, there have been attempts like since ukufika kwesipluma, since ukufika kwesipluma, and promoting single land use schemes, so we've tried to create plans now for these rural areas, yes, even indawo esemakhaya should have or should form part of a land use scheme, but now it is very, 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 very a lengthy process to get the buy-in of traditional authorities when it comes to uspluma or when it comes to of land use scheme, because of course he always views lendlela yethu ye-planning, ukuthi no nifuna ukudla umhlaba wethu, no, what our plan is doing here.
Yes, you find that even in our town, they even care about the same thing. The traditional leaders, you meet someone and you talk with them and they're like, masenkhulile nibosiza phela develop indawo yangakithi and whatever, but they are very stuck on indawo yami. They can't move away from that sort of thinking to then making sure that development is being brought about in the town.
Yes, so my challenge is like we've really got to overcome this challenge, because we should be fostering a relationship, umasipala and the traditional authorities, traditional leaders. Because now it's not every day la ufika khona ama-planners awamasipala ahleli namakhosi.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. You bring about collaborative approach where we come together and we communicate and we find common ground in understanding what the role of planners is and making sure that we address that in like the course that we're currently doing, even for this project as well. We're being told to think out of the box and not focus on the problem. So with this situation as well, I feel like it's just a matter of speaking in a language in which the traditional leaders are gonna understand, making sure they understand what you're trying to achieve and what is required from them, and understanding how that is going to benefit them. So it doesn't sound like uzobachela, and you understand abantu abadala in most cases, and they're very like formal in the way things are supposed to be done. So you need to develop that collaborative approach and try to find common ground, and so everyone is happy at the end of the day.
As we try to foster this relationship towards collaborative planning, because at the end of the day, it's about communities, it's about bringing services to the people, So it's very, very important for Tina as planners, everyone is part of the process. We leave no one behind in this process.
We're looking at informal trade. We're looking at the role of traditional authorities. There are two pictures that I shared with you. I'm going to put them on the screen for the audience so they can see as well. This is the actual space you talked about, of where a lot of activity is happening, like this node where everyone is doing their own thing in one space. So the first picture, that's how the center looked in 2010, where we did have some sort of formal shelters for informal traders to use and occupy. But recently, none of that exists, and we have this whole fence around this site. What are your thoughts on the change that has been made?
Well, I do think that as planners, we really need to plan for informal trading, especially given the context just in Mbazwana.
Yes.
It's not in terms of planning, it's been like that for the past 20 years, for the past 30 years.
Yes.
It's not changing in terms
of
no
change, nothing.
Yes. So we then have to come to a reality of accepting the informality, especially informal trading. It is here to stay.
Besides us understanding that informality is here to stay, it's also understanding the context of Mbazwana as well, that no aksibona wonke umuntu ofundile. So that is the majority of people. That's their source of income and their source of livelihood. So we shouldn't be excluding those people as like the majority of the population, that's what they do for a living.
So I think kubalulekile kakhulu ukuthi ama-demographics ayindawo siwa-considerishe,
Yes.
because if uyabheka the levels of poverty, the levels of unemployment, the levels of illiteracy,
Yes.
it's very alarming, Yeah, so it's a source of income, it's a form of livelihood for
yes.
local people, abanye akusiye wonke umuntu ofundile, Yes, so iningi labantu ke eventually resort to ukuyodayisa edolobheni, bese ke kuba nale ngathini this show ibhizi, le bhizi legcine isikhona, wonke umuntu unetafula lakhe, wonke umuntu uneshek yakhe adayisela kuyona, ithini lakhe, ikhoyi lakhe,
Yes.
Yeah, so kugcine ke kucaca ukuthi ukuhlupheka kwethu it's right in front of our eyes,
Yes. Ngoba gcina sekwaziwa ukuthi indawo kaMasibanibani, le ndawo kaMasibanibani, umuntu ngamthuma ngesheke futhi ngicela uye kuSibanibani, they know where to go to. So yes, they've even personalized your space.
Ngobusho nje ukuthi you could go there today ungithume ukuthi ngicela ngiye laphana ngizomthola lo muntu. It's like they have an agreement, ukuthi this is my space,
Yes.
These people are here to stay, So Tina, what we can do, it's to plan for informal trading. Yes, as planners, we need to take it into our planning processes to see yes, we do have a problem here. So now why don't we just plan for linking a scenario then?
Yes, what do we do from this step going forward? Collaborating with the traders as well, understanding what they require. Because I feel like in most cases as well, it's easy for a person like me to assume some of the challenges are because of the role of traditional leaders and how they distribute land. But in most cases, in the community, traditional leaders are respected. And you might find that through the interviews and discussions you might have with informal traders, they don't see that traditional leaders are doing anything wrong. For them, it's another issue. So it's a matter of coming together and understanding what their actual problem is and what they need help with, so you can be able to assist them and make sure that you are promoting sustainable livelihoods and sustainable development in the town.
We spoke about land allocation.
Yes.
So right now, at the current moment, the traditional authority has a huge role to play with land allocation, especially in that node. Because every development you see there, basuke benayo consent, abasuke beyikhiphile bona. Into kumele siyenze thina ukuthi sithi okay, nansi inkinga informality. Let's plan for this informality now and say okay, during the process now, siyawumema umphakathi, siyawumema umasipala, we invite the academics, we invite the whole community to be part of the process, and we say okay, first of all, we have land legal issues. That's why kunzima to even create a space as planned, you see.
Yes.
So the first issue we need to resolve is the issue of land, to make land available for development. So how do we make land available for development? That's the most critical question.
That is a very critical question. Because like for me, when I hear that question, how do we make land available for development? I feel like it's a very easy thing in terms of, we can look at it in terms of like the collaboration between the local municipality and the traditional authorities. We can discuss, and I feel like the common ground would be the collaboration between the two, so that the traditional authorities understand how they would benefit in giving that land. You understand? Because I feel like it's an easy thing. Right now, the way that they operate is using favoritism. That's what I see, especially in that area. You find that they use favoritism on who gets this piece of land, who gets that section. So if there is land available, it's just like a matter of them understanding if we do give you guys this land to bring about developments in the town, how is that going to benefit the traditional council? I feel like that's what we need to be able to answer.
I think you've actually hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
Because there needs to come a point where la city ubukhosi abukho selfish nabo bucabanga for the community.
Yes.
Yabo, because i-favoritism igcine isikhona ngempela mase sikhuluma iqiniso. Yabo. I-bias so kungathi kunama-feelings phakathi.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, we won't touch on certain things, but I feel like we both know what we're talking about in terms of we can have these two people, but we already know who's gonna get it in the town, in the community. Everyone knows. But obviously we're not gonna get into the names because we're not trying to get in trouble. We're not trying to get in trouble.
I think if we can actually open the planning process, uyabonga ngoba sikhuluma ngayo planning process lana ekuthenini okay, once we have sourced the land or acquired the land and assembled the land for development now, that's when we say okay, nina abantu abadayisayo ke manje eniyiphilisa through the informal economy, where would you guys want to be located. To conduct? Because I think location is the main reason why they are even there.
Yes.
They are there for a reason. Otherwise, nabitafula lakhe will place.
Yes.
So there's a reason why it's there.
But I feel like you're also answering your own question if you're asking them where they want to be located. They want to be located there. It's a matter of understanding how then in the same space can they have some sort of structure that doesn't disturb the formal businesses. Because for me, if you go back to the pictures that I sent you as well, when I think about that gate and I think about how those shelters no longer exist, I think about how the center did not think for themselves. The reason why a lot of people occupied that space is because it's because of the informal traders. That's how people were moving into the space. But now it's very unfriendly. Something at the supermarket and then no one is always in that space anymore. There's not much activity because all those traders are now outside the fence on the pavement. You can't even walk into the center. You can't drive. There's a lot of traffic. The way in which they've structured it, they didn't think about why people were moving into the space. There should be a collaboration between the formal businesses as well and the informal traders so that it's well structured and it doesn't disturb both parties.
They thought for themselves more because they have the lease. We have Oibona who hold the lease with Ngonyama Trust. So now by exercise rights to the land. Yes. So now, since it's looking after its own interest, it has forgot the interest, of the day-to-day hawkers, if you can call them the street traders. So they are not featured into that plan of Itala.
Yes.
Itala is there for its own sake now, so for business purposes as well, So I think it becomes the responsibility of the municipality, and it becomes the responsibility as well of the traditional authorities now to make land available for that development, to say, okay, we are creating planned trading stalls,
Yes.
Because market a planned, at the end of the day. So ukuthola lowo mhlaba lowo ukuthi siplane ukuthi okay, allocation siyenza kanjani as we are about to allocate i-structure as planned,
Yes.
Because nasedolobheni ukuthi uyahamba, there is just a fence there, it's a challenge,
It's a challenge. And for me, like the reason why I keep bringing it up, and you're very right by saying Itala Center was exercising their rights. But as you said, it's a collaboration between them and the Ngonyama Trust. And that puzzles me as a planner, but as a community member as well. The traditional authorities, they're there for the people. So in a situation where their people are now affected, what is their role? It brings me to the research question. What is their role then, where they are representing both parties? Yes, they're representing themselves because they're in collaboration with Uthala Center and they're benefiting from that. But also they are responsible for the community and the public interest. So they need to understand how to balance what makes them money and what their role is holistically to represent the public. They need to find balance in that situation.
I know, I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you because they've got your responsibility to serve the people, the community, at the same time to bring economic opportunities, you know, investors to the community. That's also their role. So I think collaboratively, it should all occur within the same space, you know.
Yes. In the amount of time we've been talking, we've almost covered most of the issues that are critical and the most prevalent issues in the area, especially for informal traders and for planners as well, because you can see even when you want to provide some sort of basic services, there is a limitation because of the person in the middle, which are traditional authorities. You want to reach the further end into like the informal traders, but you have this wall that keeps hitting. There's always a collaboration with a certain party before you can get to the last part. But I feel like we've covered most of the things, and I like every single point that you did share. Like you were down to the T, making us understand what you have seen as the actual issues that are happening in the area. But just to like close off, what would you say are your recommendations for planners now who are working in the local municipality to be able to better promote a collaborative or sustainable development for informal traders?
Well, as a recommendation, the first recommendation that I would propose is for the municipality to source funding. It's to source funding, and this funding will actually assist informal traders. So you see, yes. So the second recommendation is for the municipality to create an LED strategy, you see, that will take small businesses into consideration, you see.
Yes.
That's when we LED strategy zethu sizo-identifya khona to strategize the SWOT analysis basically of the area, what we can capitalize on. I think the third one as well would also to try and bring in all other agencies of the states, like ATIA, like youth development agency, you see, to actually try to create some form, what you call these groups, you see, association of street traders,
because it's going to be easier when you're collaborating as well to know who to address and who to go to, because right now it's just everyone. So yes, having that structure and that association is definitely the one. Yes.
The last recommendation, this is the last.
Yeah.
Okay. For uMasipala to create municipal plans which actually recognize informality and street trading, in the sense ukuthi we actually create zones. Ischeme sethu should speak to zones that will allow informal traders to actually thrive, you know, babe nespace sabe safe, you know, to conduct business. Kube ngathini idolobha libe nama stringent controls, controls, you know, what you can do there and what you cannot simply do there.
I like the last one. Because it speaks to what, as planners in the municipality, we should do, and developing plans that prioritize informal traders. As we spoke about demographics as well, we are highlighting most of the community if we do that. We're providing for the majority of the community if we do that. So I really like the last strategy as well. No, you've nailed that one as well. I agree fully with you with all four recommendations. And I really hope, Uguti, people are able to access this podcast so they can listen to these recommendations and the things that we're talking about.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was a really productive session.
Thank you so much for making time to come and share your experiences and your knowledge as a planner as well of what could be done and how we can resolve all these challenges that we have addressed. So thank you so much for making time and coming on.
Thank you so much, Sis.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope it really shed light on the case study of our research in Mbazwana to understand the challenges that informal traders face, the role of traditional authorities in this situation, and how we can better as planners plan and formulate a structure for informal businesses in rural towns. I am your host, uThubelihle Mlambo. This is Community Catalyst, and I am signing out.